Hi everyone, welcome to this wellness session with Zoe on Taming Your Inner Critic. My name is Hadon and I am an HR consultant at Scale HR. And I have here today Zoe, who is a psychotherapist at Recharge EAP Alternative. And Zoe's mission is to help people find their courage to live a meaningful life. So if you'd like in the chat, we're really curious about where you're calling from. I'm calling from Toronto, and Zoe, you're calling from?
From Sarnia right now.
Okay, wow. So Ontario, you're from way more
Yes.
south.
Yeah.
Is it snowing where you are too?
It is, but nothing like what you're getting in Toronto.
It's flurries right now. Hopefully it stays as flurries. I don't want to shovel. Not yet, anyways.
My fingers crossed for you.
Fingers crossed, thank you. I have people from Brampton and from Massachusetts in the US as well. Cool. And Zoe, I'll let you take it away, okay?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Adon.
Awesome.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for choosing to spend a little bit of time with me. Today, we're going to be looking at our inner critics. And I'm going to make that assumption that since you've shown up here, you're probably quite familiar with your own inner critic. And then also guessing just based off of the work that you do, you probably get to see little sneak peeks of other people's inner critics as they pop up when we're trying to navigate our lives, engage in, the things that are exciting for us or meaningful. Yeah, our inner critics can be really so loud. I see you there, Samina. Thanks for chiming in. Mine's pretty loud too, and it definitely popped up today. But here we are. And so I'm just going to be sharing my screen here. So yeah, just a quick little thing about me. I'm one of the psychotherapists on the Recharge EAP platform. And what I love to do in my work, both with my individual clients and in the corporate workshops that I do, is to bring in my training as an art therapist into this work, into our way of exploring mental health and mental wellness. And so for those of you who are not familiar with art therapy, in its most basic form, it's just bringing in that creative component into our journey into mental growth. So I've asked you today to have a piece of paper and something to draw with. That can be a pen, a pencil, a Sharpie. It really doesn't matter, just something to put some lines onto the paper. And that's how we're going to be exploring today. The reason why I like to bring in the art component, and of course, I know I'm biased, but what I find it does most amazingly is that it takes that experience that's living in your head, that can be just so present in here, and it gives you a chance to get it outside of your body, onto paper or into other materials. And once it's outside of your body, then you really have that opportunity to decide how you want to navigate it or negotiate it or change it. It really turns you into an active participant in your own healing journey, which I just think is so inspirational and so needed for all of us as we do that mental growth and healing that we all need to do. One really important thing I want to share with you is that all the art that is made with, for art therapy, it's never about making a good image. It's often not about making something pretty or perfect or even recognizable. Something as messy as a scribble can have just as much meaning and insight as something as detailedly drawn as a Rembrandt painting. So give yourself permission to just be playful, to try things out, and don't worry about whether it looks good or not. Your inner critic might have some words for you, but honestly, just let them take a back seat for just a hot second while you engage in that art process. Today, we are going to be inviting our inner critics into the space. So for those of you who the inner critic is really, really hot today or has been in the recent past, just be very gentle with yourself and give yourself permission to leave this session at any point if you need to. It's definitely not my intention to push you too deep, but sometimes we're going through things and it might be a bit much. And so with that in mind, let's take a deep breath and let's bring that inner critic into our space today. For most of us, our inner critics kind of come and go as we engage in some things. We get a bit of a break from them. It can feel really nice. And then they come up and they're a bit much. And for others, they're really, really present and always kind of in the front seat of our minds. And so wherever you are, I have this really nice motivational message for you. Yeah. Nice, right? I mean, how often do these types of sentences pop into your mind? Maybe it's just one of these, maybe a handful of them. They can really, they're nasty. They're quite nasty words. And today, I want you to take a moment and just listen to that voice, the one that you always try to push away. So if that voice is saying that you don't belong here, let it for just a moment say it to you in your mind. We're going to grab onto that message that our inner critic says and use that as our entry point into revealing it. This is where the art component's going to come in. So have that piece of paper in front of you, have that drawing utensil, and listen to that voice. If you already have an image in mind, go ahead and start creating. But for those of you who might need a little bit of help to just get that first mark on the page, start with that voice and really consider, how does it sound? Is it a loud, booming voice? Or maybe whispering, slithery? Is it crackly, staccatoed, smooth, soothing? Really let yourself describe this voice, big or small. And once you've found it, draw the mouth that would release that voice. And again, let yourself think, is the voice or that mouth small? Does it take up a lot of space on the page? Is it a recognizable shape, or maybe something a bit unfamiliar, something more angular or abstract? Does that mouth have teeth, a tongue, something else hidden inside? Is it dark or light? Really let yourself play with that image of the mouth of your inner critic. Maybe it's recognizable and maybe it's not. Once you have that mouth there on the page, allow yourself to expand that face. Maybe there are some recognizable features like eyes or noses. And I say plural there because sometimes these critics might have a human figure, or it might be more of a mythical creature. Really allow yourself to play with this and let those shapes, those features start to take space on the page. And once you have that face, of course, continue and give it a body. Maybe the body is something that you can see fully on that page, or maybe it expands beyond. Maybe it's really, really big. Does it have arms or hands, claws, feet, a tail? What kind of creature, what kind of body, what kind of entity could possibly keep throwing these messages at you? I wish so much that I could see you all drawing. It's hard for me to do the pacing. We're going to take just a few more seconds here. Let that inner critic, that little creature, reveal itself to you on the page in whatever shape it takes today. And if you're not already finished, find a place where you can pause. Sometimes these images do merit a bit more than the couple of minutes that we spent on them today. But I want to move us to that next part of really looking at our image and seeing what we can learn from it. That's an important part in art therapy. And so first, check in with yourself. How are you feeling right now? How does it feel to see this image that you've just created, to have it out of your mind and onto the paper? It might be worthwhile just writing down a sentence or two about how you're feeling. And I do want to normalize that however you feel in this moment is perfectly normal. For some of us, it's an immediate relief to have it out of our heads and onto paper, where we can then start to take a bit of space from us. But for others, it can be just too much. It can become almost too real to see it on the paper. And you know yourself best. You know where you're at in life best. So be gentle with yourself in those. If you are one of those people who felt the release, awesome. I'm really glad that this is something quick and easy that you can bring into your day whenever your critic starts to chime in. But if you fall on the other side of that spectrum where this is just too much, be curious about that if you can. Why do you think a drawn image can evoke such powerful feelings? What are you navigating in your life right now that might be contributing to this? And if these big feelings of too much come up quite often in your life, as you would know, living through your day-to-day, maybe it's a little nudge to seek some extra support. One other interesting aspect could be to look at, did anything in your image as you were drawing it, as you looked at it, or your reaction upon going through that process, did anything surprise you? Sometimes these surprises can be really beautiful, not red flags, but just little flags waving in the wind to be like, hey, there's something worthwhile here to check out. So look into that. And if anything did surprise you, maybe the image that you drew really didn't end up like the image you saw in your mind, that could be something worth some deeper inquiry. So if you have time later on, you could explore that direction. And now for that final piece, I want to invite you to respond to your image. This is where you really get to take control. So do you need to alter your image in any way? Maybe it's scribbling it up, crumpling it up, adding something to it, or trying to rip something away. And let yourself be kind of playful. Like if this is your inner critic, where do you want to put it? Do you necessarily want to keep it right next to you? Or I have some clients who, once they draw it, they turn it upside down so it's no longer facing them, and they put it to the side. Or I've had one client who actually takes it out of the room and puts it in a different room behind a closed door so they don't have to deal with it. You can decide where you want to put it. And one thing that I like to do in my own practice is when the critic comes up, I draw them out and then I write all around them, you don't control me. You know what? Thank you for your input, but I'm not going to let your fear, your worry, your anger keep me from accomplishing what I want to accomplish today. So if that feels like a helpful thing, go ahead and write that around your image. The intention with this quick little process that I showed you is to remind you that you're not your inner critic. You got it out of your mind and onto a piece of paper. So it's now out of your head. That allows you to gain as much space from it as you need that day and that moment. And then it gives you that chance to be the active participant. You get to decide how you're going to navigate your journey with your inner critic. It takes them out of the driver's seat. And so as we close up here, I know that was pretty quick, but I just wanted to say, by taking that chance to reveal your inner critic, you did a really hard thing. It can be intimidating to give that inner critic any extra time, any more time than it already takes up in your day. And so with that, this is really a condensed form of the types of lunch and learns that I do for our clients. I like to expand them, maybe give some more time for really looking at the wounds that the inner critic is protecting, or maybe the roots of those narratives that we hold in our minds. Maybe being a bit playful with some more dialogue, chatting with the inner critic. What do you really want from me today? Or what are you trying to protect me from? Why are you here? And seeing what you can learn from that. And then also putting a good hefty amount of work into just repairing and soothing that relationship that we have with ourselves, and reminding ourselves that we are capable of accomplishing the things that are really meaningful to us. And so with all of that, I hope that this was informative to you. You can learn more about our program at rechargeeap.ca. And I think I'll open it up to take some questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Zoe.
Thank you.
I hear the same comments echoed in the chat, just thanking you. And you definitely have a common voice. And I know we're a bit over time, but maybe just like a question or two, maybe up until 2:20 Eastern time, so 3 more minutes. Sure. If anyone has any questions.
Or if anybody wants to share their inner critic, I'll share mine.
Yeah, I'll share mine.
You're so brave. So this is actually a duo. Okay. And here is mine plus another client's just hanging out there.
Oh, wow.
Nasty little critters. Mine is the figure in white, and then his is that spider creature.
All right.
I'm going to make a big portrait gallery of all the critics that we're holding on to. So if anybody wants to share, you're more than welcome to.
So I just quickly found a scrap piece of paper. There's a coffee stain.
Perfect.
About my day. I just grabbed the things closest to me. So I have like green hair and like red eyes and like a really like dastardly smile, if that makes sense. So it's like they mean well. Like my inner critic is like, I don't want you to get hurt. So like take it with a smile when I'm telling you. But then it's a little bit like frazzled. I don't know. I just drew what came to mind. So that's an example of my inner critic.
Thank you, Hadon, for being so brave to share that.
Yeah, and thank you for facilitating this safe space. Like I think we all really appreciated it. If anyone else would like to share, I can invite you on stage as well. And if not, that's totally fine.
That's okay.
It is a very Okay, I think someone's would like to join. All right.
Oh, hang on. Got to get
my Sabrina.
Okay, I'm fighting my inner critic.
You are amazing.
It's certainly not the best drawing I ever did, but I started something else first, and then you started talking, and then I flipped over the paper and I started doing it one with your kind of coaching. So anyway, he's pretty ugly. He's got some pretty angry eyes, and he's got pointy ears and claws.
Yeah. Wow.
I never realized that my critic was so angry until today. I always thought it was just kind of sad. Like it makes me sad, I think, because when you first started talking, I felt sad. But then when I started drawing it, it was like, it's really angry. And I'm like, that's really interesting. So you've kind of opened something for me to dig deeper into that I did not know. So thank you very much. This was awesome. I'm glad I came.
Yeah, not the nicest feelings to be tapping into, but it sounds like having that new insight gives you a whole new avenue to start being curious about inner critic. What are you doing? Why are you coming up so often? And
so I gotta look at this. I think this guy's sabotaging me. So I have to shut him down. Look, I gave him a male kind of, I wonder why that is. I'll have to look into that too.
See, all of these points.
Because I'm female and I definitely I identify as female. So why is my inner critic male? That's interesting. I'm gonna have to figure out that.
Lots of pondering to do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sabina.
Thank you, Samina, for sharing. And I think that brings us to like a natural close of today's event. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you, Samina, for sharing, and everyone else for just participating as well. And